This is chapters 46 through 50 of Lock the Doors. 46. I scroll through the photos on my phone, stopping on the ones of Amy's journal. He can't possibly know the truth. I don't know what that means, but I know there's a truth to be found, and if no one else can help me, I'll find it myself. There's a puzzle to be solved, and it feels like I'm missing the central piece, so I stare from my window until my eyes sting. I watch every movement and every tiny flicker of curtain. From this far away, the Pierces are living their life like a game of charades, and it's my job to put words to their actions. Tom! I see Mom in the doorway. I've been calling you. Sorry, We're going shopping. I think you should come. I look back at Amy's house and say, I'm fine here. Mom touches my shoulder. This isn't healthy, sweetheart. I know what you're doing, and you need a break. I start to blush, and she says, It's okay. If you want to be absolutely certain nothing bad happened here, that's fine. But let's have some time out. I'd like you to come. I try to think of another excuse, but Mom knows me better than anyone. She could make me feel guilty for spying on Amy or stupid for worrying, and I'm grateful that she doesn't. Okay, I say, I'll come. And 10 minutes later, we're in the car, Nia on her phone next to me and Mom and Jay chatting in the front. My stepsister is only here for the lift. She'll disappear the moment we reach the shopping center. But Mom's right. I need to get out of the house, if only to clear my head. My thoughts have gotten so knotted that I need space to unravel them, and then I can figure out how to solve this once and for all. When we arrive, Jay says, Where do you want to go first? Nia is already off with Esther, and I saw his disappointment when she left with barely a word. I could disappear too, but my stepdad looks like he's expectantly. My stepdad looks at me expectantly, and I say, Wherever you want. Okay, Jay says, and next to him, Mom mouths, Thank you. We used to talk like strangers stuck in a lift, but it's easier now if I can still see the nerves behind Jay's questions. He wants me to like him, and I do. The men that try too hard at the beginning are often the worst by the end. For the next hour, I follow Mom and Jay into their favorite places and smile whenever they look over. When I see Amy, I have to blink and refocus before I believe my eyes. But she's there, walking along the row of shops opposite. She's alone, and I think about shouting out, but something stops me. If I want to know what she's hiding, I need to see her when she doesn't think she's being watched. I'm going to look around on my own for a bit, I tell Mom. Of course, text me when you're done. I nod and walk in the same direction as Amy, careful not to go too fast or look too frantic. There are a few people in front of me, and I dodge left and right to keep sight of her. She's looking for something too, and I wonder if her parents are here. I glance back, convinced for half a second that they're following me as I follow her, but I only see strangers. Amy goes into a few shops, and I keep my distance because it's not the clothes she's looking at, it's the people. It's hard to track her while her head shoots back and forth, scanning the center. What are you looking for? I whisper to myself. Suddenly she stops and looks straight for me, and I duck into the nearest shop. When I look out, she's already gone, walking faster than before, and I have to jog to catch up. She's 10 paces in front of me when she walks into a shop, and only 5 when she stops and stares at a woman for a few meters away. The woman has an armful of clothes, and when her phone rings, she rests them on a rail to answer it. Amy steps forward slowly like she's hunting her, and that's when I see him. It's not the woman Amy is staring at, it's the boy. He looks about 3 and is wandering farther and farther away from a mother that doesn't notice. Amy crouches next to him and says something, and the boy nods. When she holds his hand, I assume she's taking him back to the woman, but they walk right past her. I open my mouth to shout, but nothing comes out. I can only stare as Amy and the boy leave the shop. I don't follow right away. I'm too shocked to move. When I do, it takes a few seconds to spot Amy hurrying through the crowd. I should tell the woman, but I can't until I know what's going on. Maybe they know each other. Perhaps this is all a big misunderstanding. Amy turns right, and I see her and the boy go into the woman's bathroom. A security guard walks past, but I hold my tongue. I feel sick and anxious, and I have no idea what's happening. It's okay, I say. It's not what it looks like. I don't realize how far I've moved until Amy walks out and stares at me. The boy is wearing the mustard-colored jacket I saw in her bag. What the fuck, I say, and she looks at me with fear in her eyes. That's when we hear the woman screaming for the boy Amy's trying to kidnap. Oh my god. Okay, part 2. Woo! Okay, 47. What are you doing? I ask. Amy lets go of the boy's hand and says, This is not what it looks like. Isn't it? Because it looks like you're abducting a kid. Amy shivers. I'm sorry. Then she crouches next to the boy and whispers, This is a silly game, isn't it? Do you want to go back to your mummy now? He nods, and she takes off the jacket and pushes him toward me. Take him back. Me? What if they think? Just say you found him. The boy's mother screams again, and the people around us look toward the sound. It won't be long before we seem suspicious, so I hold his arm and say, "Come on, mate, let's find your mom." When she sees him, she sprints towards us and sweeps him into a big hug. "Thank you," the woman says. "Thank you so much." She turns to her son. "Don't you ever wander off again. Do you hear me? You scared Mommy." A few people smile at me because they think I'm the hero, but I'm something else. I saw it happening and I didn't stop it. I gave him back, but I know the truth. The boy is sobbing and I feel guilty because he doesn't deserve this, even if his mom is pulling him close and whispering, "It's okay, darling, you're safe now." Loads of people are staring, but Amy isn't one of them. When I go back to the bathrooms, she's gone. I followed her, hoping for answers, but now I have more questions than ever. She tried to steal a child. She was prepared for it, carrying spare clothes around for weeks. All that time, I thought Amy was being trapped by a monster in her home. Now I think Amy might be the monster. 48. Everything I thought I knew is bullshit. I spent so long trying to figure out how to rescue Amy, but she wasn't the victim. And then I believed we could actually be something. We kissed, and it was amazing, but now it feels like a horrible trick. What happens when I see her at school? If she even comes back? Is that why she left St. Gregory's? Did someone catch her doing something bad, and she just ran far enough to avoid seeing them every day? When I close my eyes, I picture her leading that little boy out of the shop and her face when I caught them later. What would have happened if I hadn't been there? Would she have walked right out of the shopping center? And then what? She had the clothes and she was stalking the shops, waiting for her chance. And when it came, she didn't pause for a moment. Only the worst kind of people act like that. It was premeditated, and I need to understand why. I can't tell anyone what I saw without getting her into trouble. I should do it anyway. She deserves it. Yet something stops me. The holes and the words and the drawings are suddenly pointing to a different story, one I don't want to hear. I stare out of my window at a house that already looks so different. I used to think the gate was there to keep Amy in, but she can walk out whenever she wants. And when she leaves, she does terrible things. Do her parents even know? And what does it mean about the holes and the carvings? I think of Amy's journal, how she wrote that I can't possibly know the truth. I have to talk to her. I need to know what's going on. "I don't understand," I say out loud. Behind me, Mom asks, "What's that, Tom?" I jump back and stare at her, convinced she can read my mind. "Nothing, I was just thinking about schoolwork." Mom shakes her head. "You know you can talk to me. We used to talk all the time." We did, but it was different then. Most of our conversations were whispered and full of fear. We stopped telling each other everything when Jay came along. I can't tell Mom what Amy did. I'm still trying to make sense of it. Yet for a moment, I almost say it anyway. If anyone will understand, it's Mom. She's used to people not being what they seem, but I hold my tongue and she touches my shoulder and says, "I love you." "I love you too." She gazes out of my window. "When Jay first asked me out, I said no. He accepted it, but we stayed friends. And one day when I started to trust him, he asked again and I said yes. Even then, I was waiting for the first sign that something was wrong. I'd promised myself that we wouldn't suffer anymore, so I was on my guard. And I stayed that way for a long time. I always expected the worst, even when all the evidence suggested otherwise." She points at Amy's house. "If you keep telling yourself stories, you'll never allow for the truth. I know you're concerned about the holes in the walls, but honestly, Tom, she seems like a nice girl. Don't scare her away with your worries." Mom leaves before I can answer. If she'd seen what I had, she'd think differently. 49. "What's up?" Zach asked, but that's a complicated question these days. Some people tell their best friends everything, and maybe I would too if what I had to say wasn't so confusing. Amy tried to kidnap a child. If there was another explanation, she would have come out with it, but instead, she looked like she'd been caught red-handed. "Trouble in paradise," Zach says because he likes saying things no one actually does in real life. "No, I'm fine." "And Amy? What about her?" "I haven't seen her for a while. Did you two break up?" "We were never together," I say, but that hurts because we were. For a tiny, brilliant moment, I thought she was my girlfriend. I liked her. She was beautiful and strange and terrifying, and that was okay until it wasn't. Is this what she meant when she said she would scare me? Did she know I'd find out eventually? "Hey," Zach says, and when I turn, Amy's there, and I think I'm going to be sick. I push my fingers together so the tips of each hand are touching, and that calms me down. Then I count the syllables of my thoughts, sorting them into 3s and 5s. Sometimes my anxiety is a trickle, and sometimes it's a tsunami. No prizes for guessing today's forecast. I can't focus on her face. My head suddenly aches behind my eyes, and I want to shout at her, but not here. "I'll leave you to it," Zach says. I think this is a lover's He thinks this is a lover's tiff when I'm really face to face with a potential psycho. What other reason could there be for Amy carrying children's clothes in her school bag and stealing kids when their parents aren't watching? Can we talk? She whispers. What were you doing with that boy? Not here, she says, reaching for my hand. When I pull it away, she sad smiles and I follow her to the Head Start line. Have you told anyone? She asks and I shake my head. Thank you. What would have happened if I hadn't been there? Would you have taken him? No, Amy says. It's just a thing I do. I don't think some parents look after their kids. These days, everyone is on their phone or their iPad, so I teach them a lesson. You kidnapped their children. No, I show them what it would be like to lose your child forever, but their forever only lasts a few minutes. I wasn't going to leave the center. I don't believe her because she looks genuinely terrified when she saw me. I caught her doing something she shouldn't be, and she knows it. So why is she still lying? As if she can read my mind, she says, I'm telling the truth, I swear it. She touches the chalk on the Head Start line, and I think of the first time I brought her here. She was a different girl, then to me at least. I want to believe her, but I can't. You can only see so many warning signs before you have to accept that there's danger. What about the coat? She shakes her head. It gives me more time. If parents find their child too soon, they aren't relieved, they're just angry. For it to work, panic needs to set in. That's why I change what they look like. That's fucked up. Amy closes her eyes and says, maybe, but they won't turn their back again. I haven't been completely honest with you, and I'm sorry for that. But you have to believe me. Please, Tom, I was just trying to make a difference. She reaches for my hand, and I don't pull away. I know I should, but I like how it feels, even when my head is all over the place. Will you stop? Amy doesn't reply for a long time, and when she does, she says, I'll try. 50. The message is short and scary. Dinner at mine tomorrow at 6. Please come, Amy X. Do her parents know what she does? Will they call it other names or nothing at all like Mom does with me? Or is it another secret Amy's keeping from everyone? I think back to the night I took her home from the sensorium party and how weird her parents were. Do I really want another evening like this time trapped at a dinner table? But the truth is, this is what I've always wanted, an invite into the one place that can prove me wrong or confirm my fears. Maybe Amy is all the things I thought her parents were. Perhaps she's the one to be scared of, and they're just ordinary. But either way, I can't say no to her, so I respond with an okay. And then I go to my window and watch the people I'll be spending tomorrow evening with. I see Amy in the living room doorway saying something to her mother. Her brother looks around, but Amy ignores him. She's doing all the talking while her mom looks concerned. I try to lip read, but I can't make out anything. All I can see is the worry on everyone's faces. Her dad appears at the back of the room and touches Amy's shoulder, and she flinches. Then she sits on the chair opposite and points at something unseen. This is the first time I've seen Amy in the same room as them. She's usually hidden away, which is either her choice or someone else's. Tomorrow I'll find out, and if they agree to something that I think Amy has decided... Tomorrow I'll find out, and if they agree to something that I think Amy has decided on her own. I keep watching until her mom nods, then pulls her brother into a hug and stares back at the TV. Amy stands for a few seconds as if she wants to say something else before disappearing. Then the light goes on upstairs and the curtains close, but not before she stares directly at me and smiles.